Yes, sir. I was just calling. This weekend, I've got a 17-year-old, and he's been a good kid up until recently. He's just gotten rebellious, and we tried to ground him from the car this weekend, and he went and stole the key off my key ring and took the car against our will. And we found the car and brought it home. We told him to come home Saturday night, and he didn't. Told him to be in by 11:30. He didn't come in at all till 1:30 in the morning. Showed up at his grandmother's house, spent the night, and he's just getting to where, in the last few weeks, where we just can't control him. And I went and filled out a police report for unauthorized use of a vehicle, just so I'd have some kind of a documentation that I'm having trouble with him. But I just don't know if this continues. What can I do legally to try to get him under control?
Yeah.
Well,
I just didn't know if you had any suggestions.
I do. And by you filing that charge, that certainly does give some weight and should suggest to your child that his behavior is serious. But you do have another option as well. You can go to family court and fill out what's called a CHINS petition. That stands for Child in Need of Supervision. That basically is a petition, almost like a charge, saying that this child fails to obey the lawful and reasonable commands of the parent. And if once that begins, that child will be sent to a judge, and that child can be placed on probation, and a term of that probation could be for that child to follow your rules, to have a certain curfew, to not operate that motor vehicle. So you've got one base covered for sure, but filing a CHINS petition at family court is certainly another option that you ought to look into.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Well, I was going to ask you about the responsibility. I mean, parents have, the responsibility of taking care of their kids until they're 18, right?
They do.
So the kids' actions can fall back on the parents, and that's why it's a tough situation. Obviously, he's trying to do the right thing and be the parent. So talk a little bit about that, though.
Well, and it's true. Parents should know that if he had taken your car and he had wrecked that car,
right.
If somebody were in that car and he had injured that person, yes, that parent could be liable. And even if he didn't do anything with that car, if he stole something or keyed somebody else's car, you as the parent can be held responsible to pay money for the damages that child has done. So, and at a child that age too, it's not illegal to use corporal punishment in Alabama, but with a child that age, that would be a big mistake, I would say. That's just asking for the situation to get much worse and for that parent to actually get charged in the end of that.
And for somebody like Mark, who I'm sure it was very difficult for him to, and any parent, to have to actually call and report your own child for having done something wrong. But we alluded to it earlier, but I just want to make sure that our audience understands these types of crimes, if you will, when the individual is under the age of, is it 19?
18 for most of the charges, correct.
Okay. Will that juvenile have to report that later on for college entrance or for job applications and that sort of thing, and be able to report it or not report it truthfully?
Right, and that's one of the biggest differences between the juvenile courts and the adult courts. The adult courts, if he's 20 years old and he's charged with that offense and he's convicted of that offense, it's going to be on his record for life. And that's going to very well could prevent him from getting school loans for college, for jobs, for many things. So fortunately, the juvenile justice system exists to say, you know what, we recognize that children are going to make mistakes, they're going to do foolish things, so let's let them learn from this and to not have this haunt them forever. So yes, that can be removed from his record once all is said and done, and what he takes with it is a lesson and not this legacy that would haunt him for the rest of his life.
All right.